Hello, welcome to the Kingsley Chronicles. I'm David.
And I'm Eva.
Thank you for visiting our channel.
We hope you enjoy our content, that our experiences inspire you.
Please make sure you smash that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up on the little uppy ticky thingy, and poke that ringly dingly so that you and others can receive the latest content we post on YouTube.
And also, don't forget to visit our website, thekingschronicles.com, for even more awesome content from immigration to traveling, forum, blogs, and more.
Thank you for joining us on our adventures. Stay happy, healthy, and God bless you. Hello, and welcome to the Kingsley Chronicles. I'm David. In this second video of our immigration series, we will discuss the qualifications to receive a green card. If you haven't already seen our introduction video, you can view it by clicking the link above. Please keep in mind that I am not a lawyer, and this is not legal advice and should not be misconstrued as such. There are many ways to receive a permanent resident status. These are eligibility through family, employment, special immigrant, refugee asylee, human trafficking and abuse victims, victims of abuse, other categories, or through registry. Each of these categories have their own requirements that must be met before you are eligible to apply for a green card. The family-based green card is the easiest and usually quickest way to get a green card if you are eligible, which is our first category. All of the following has been taken directly from the USCIS website. You can view this information using the link in the description. You may be eligible to apply as the immediate relative of a U.S. citizen if you are the spouse of a U.S. citizen, an unmarried child under the age of 21 of a U.S. citizen, or the parent of a U.S. citizen who is at least 21 years old. You may be eligible to apply as an other relative of a U.S. citizen or relative of a lawful permanent resident under the family-based preference categories if you are a family member of a U.S. citizen, meaning you are the unmarried son or daughter of a U.S. citizen and you are 21 years or older, married son or daughter of a U.S. citizen, brother or sister of a U.S. citizen who is at least 21 years old, or a family member of a lawful permanent resident, meaning you are the spouse of a lawful permanent resident, unmarried child under the age of 21 of a lawful permanent resident, or unmarried son or daughter of a lawful permanent resident 21 years or older. You may be eligible to apply as the fiancé of a U.S. citizen or the fiancé's child if you are the person admitted to the U.S. as a fiancé of a U.S. citizen, K1 non-immigrant, or person admitted to the U.S. as the child of a fiancé of a U.S. citizen, K2 non-immigrant. You may be eligible to apply as the widow or widower of a U.S. citizen if you are the widow or widower of a U.S. citizen and you were married to your U.S. citizen spouse at the time your spouse died. You may be eligible to apply as a Violence Against Women Act VAWA self-petitioning victim of battery or extreme cruelty if you are the abused spouse of a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident, abused child, unmarried and under 21 years old of a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident, or abused parent of a U.S. citizen. Our next eligibility category is through employment. You may be eligible to apply as an immigrant worker if you are a first preference immigrant worker, meaning you have extraordinary ability in the sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics, are an outstanding professor or researcher, or are a multinational manager or executive who meets certain criteria. Are a second preference immigrant worker, meaning you are a member of a profession that requires an advanced degree, have exceptional ability in the sciences, arts, or business, or are seeking a national interest waiver. Are a third preference immigrant worker, meaning you are a skilled worker, meaning your job requires a minimum of 2 years training or work experience, a professional, meaning your job requires at least a U.S. bachelor's degree or foreign equivalent and you are a member of the profession, or an unskilled worker, meaning you will perform unskilled labor requiring less than 2 years training or experience. You may be eligible to apply as a physician national interest waiver if you are a physician who agrees to work full-time in clinical practice in a designated underserved area for a set period of time and also meets other eligibility requirements. You may be eligible to apply as an immigrant investor if you have invested or are actively in the process of investing at least $1 million or $500,000 in targeted employment areas in a new commercial enterprise in the United States, which will create full-time positions for at least 10 qualifying employees. Our next eligibility category is as a special immigrant. You may be eligible to apply as a religious worker if you are a member of a religious denomination coming to the U.S. to work for a nonprofit religious organization. You may be eligible to apply as a special immigrant juvenile if you are a juvenile who needs the protection of a juvenile court because you have been abused, abandoned, or neglected by a parent. You may be eligible to apply as an Afghanistan or Iraq national if you were an Afghan or Iraqi translator or interpreter for the U.S. government, were an Iraqi employed by or for the U.S. government EEC-1 in Iraq on or after March 20, 2003 for at least 1 year, or were an Afghan employed by the U.S. government or International Security Assistance Force, ISAF. You may be eligible to apply as an international broadcaster if you are coming to work in the U.S. as a member of the media for the U.S. Agency for Global Media, USAGM, or a USAGM grantee. You may be eligible to apply as an employee of an international organization or family member or NATO 6 employee or family member if you are a retired officer or employee of an eligible international organization or NATO, or are an eligible family member of such an employee. Our next eligibility category is refugee or asylee status. You may be eligible to apply as a refugee if you were granted refugee status at least 1 year ago. You may be eligible to apply as an asylee if you were granted asylum status at least 1 year ago. Our next eligibility category is human trafficking and crime victims. You may be eligible to apply as a human trafficking victim if you currently have a T non-immigrant visa. You may be eligible to apply as a crime victim if you currently have a U non-immigrant visa. Our next eligibility category is victims of abuse. You may be eligible to apply as a Violence Against Women's Act, VAWA, self-petitioning victim of battery or extreme cruelty if you are the abused spouse of a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident, abused child unmarried and under 21 years old of a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident, or abused parent of a U.S. citizen. You may be eligible to apply if you are a special immigrant juvenile if you are a child who has been abused, abandoned, or neglected by your parent and you have SIJ status. You may be eligible to apply if you are an abused victim of battery or extreme cruelty spouse or child under the Cuban Adjustment Act if you are the abused spouse or child of a Cuban native or citizen. You may be eligible to apply if you are an abused victim of battery or extreme cruelty spouse or child under the Haitian Refugee Immigrant Fairness Act, HRIFA, if you are the abused spouse or child of a lawful permanent resident who received his or her green card based on HRIFA. Our next eligibility category is other categories. You may be eligible to apply under Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness, LRIF, if you are a Liberian national who has been continuously present in the United States since November 20, 2014, are the spouse, child under 21, or unmarried son or daughter over the age of 21 of a qualifying Liberian national. You may be eligible to apply for the Diversity Immigrant Visa Program if you were selected for a diversity visa in the Department of State's Diversity Lottery. You may be eligible to apply under the Cuban Adjustment Act if you are a Cuban native or citizen, are the spouse or child of a Cuban native or citizen. You may be eligible to apply as an abused victim of battery or extreme cruelty spouse or child under the Cuban Adjustment Act, or are the abused spouse or child of a Cuban native or citizen. You may be eligible to apply as a dependent status under the HRIFA if you are the spouse or a child of a lawful permanent resident who received his or her green card based on the Haitian Refugee Immigration Fairness Act, HRIFA, an abused victim of battery or extreme cruelty, spouse or child under HRIFA, or are the abused spouse or child of a lawful permanent resident who received his or her green card based on HRIFA. You may be eligible to apply as a Lautenberg parolee if you were paroled into the United States as a Lautenberg parolee. You may be eligible to apply under the Indo-Chinese Parole Adjustment Act of 2000 if you are a native or citizen of Vietnam, Kampuchea, Cambodia, or Laos who was paroled into the U.S. on or before October 1, 1997 from Vietnam under the Orderly Departure Program, a refugee camp in East Asia, or a displaced persons camp administered by UNHCR in Thailand. You may be eligible to apply as an American Indian born in Canada if you were born in Canada possessing at least 50% of American Indian blood and maintain your principal residence in the United States. You may be eligible to apply as a person born in the United States to a foreign diplomat if you were born in the United States to a foreign diplomatic officer who was stationed in the United States when you were born. You may be eligible to apply as a Section 13 diplomat if you were stationed in the United States as a foreign diplomat or high-ranking official and are unable to return home. Our last eligibility category is through Registry. You may be eligible to register for a green card if you have resided continuously in the United States since before January 1st, 1972. Hopefully by now you have a basic understanding of the requirements to apply for a green card. You can view more detailed information by browsing the USCIS website, which is linked below in the description. Even more helpful is the USCIS Policy Manual, which has been published for the view of the public, which is also linked in the description below. We thank you for watching this video. If you liked it thus far, please give it a thumbs up on the like button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and ring the notification bell to get our future videos in this series. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our Patreon if you want to receive special perks that only patrons can receive. Our next video will detail spousal-based adjustment of status process.